All right, for the scan test second part, I want to start off talking about what happened with this tag scanning right here. So we said in the last video there was an error because we didn't think we had the placeholder. It actually was because this is the placeholder. So if you notice, this is basically our tag like that with a customer name, the part ID, the job number. This tag has no data. So that's what was going on with that. When I told it to print, it just printed everything that was in the system, and I was trying to scan what wasn't an actual tray tag to that job. So the system did what it was supposed to do, which was give us an error and not let us scan that tag. So in the other test, we had not scanned the last two tags to the job. If we go and look at our production report, I've gone ahead and scanned those now. So where we're at is we have out of the 400 parts, 300 are not in golf, 98 are in DFL, and 2 are counted as orphans. So what we do now is we want to kind of move through the list with these tags, and we want to go ahead and get to their next part. So what we need to do now is we need to do DFL scan jobs out. So we're basically saying that they did get DFL'd now, and now we want to scan them out. So we just hit the numbers, each one. Now every time we hit one, this comes up on the screen. Because this is just a dummy device. It just does one thing, which is show us what it sees and hit the enter key on the computer. So the OK button is the enter key, and that's what it's doing. So it's reading it, then hitting enter, going to the next one. So when we're done with the job, I'll go ahead and hit the last one. We have to stop all the scanning process by hitting done. Now it's telling us everything's moved to the next location, and we say OK. So I don't remember on this recipe if it goes from DFL to white paint, but we'll go ahead and show the white paint jobs. There's not any, so evidently that's not a part of its recipe. We'll go check oil, show jobs in, and there's no products there. So oil's not a part of its recipe. So QA must be the next stop, which now makes sense that I look up and see the computer screen, and it says 98 parts are not in QA. I guess I could have just looked up there. So that is essentially how scanning works. Now, as talked about in part 1, scanning is the process of moving products, right? You're just telling the computer, this is what I'm looking at, and this is what I want to do with it. Now, what I want to do is I'm going to go to the sextuplet 2 job, and I want to do it just on the computer screen to show you that we don't have to use this scanning. If you have access to an iPad or a desktop, you can actually move them in this way as well. So if I go to Blast, show jobs in, you see that that job is on our screen because a part of its setup recipe is to go to Blast. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and start a traveler. There's 25 in each box, so I'll go ahead and just take 4 boxes and make a traveler real quick. So I've told the system, yeah, I want to start bringing these into Blast and setting up a job. So it says, okay, you're creating a department traveler. I'm going to add another box, so I'm going to add that one. Tell it that I'm taking 25 parts out of the box. I'm going to add another box, again taking the 25 parts, because as I said, I'm going to do 100 on this setup. Say OK. So you can see we started the traveler. It's got a traveler number. It's got the jobs. When we get into creating a process at Greystone where we have the actual crates, carts, and stuff like that, and we have them serialized or barcoded, we'll be able to put the cart number in there, and then we would know this particular job was actually on this cart, or this traveler is on that cart. And we say complete the traveler, set to my Wi-Fi printer. That's good. Wi-Fi printer. I'm going to go ahead and print that traveler. Okay, so now I've got the production traveler for that job. You can see it's the profit key job number, the work order number, showing us that we have a quantity of 100 parts out of 400. That actually should be 500. Here's your 500. We have 100, 400 left to go, 500 total. That's how I was asked to set that up. And then it's showing you its recipe. So we'll go ahead and keep that production traveler. So now if we quickly jump back to the management screen and look at the position and production report, we can see that on that job now we have 100 set to blast. So let's just take these 100 parts and just move them through the system real quick. So we go back to production, we go to blast. So we brought them into blast, we've set up the job, we've blasted them, and now we need to let the system know, let everybody else know that they're ready to leave blast, which means blast is saying, hey, this job is ready for the next department to pick it up. So all we do is click the button, it says yes, you've moved into the next department, now there's nothing else to show you here, so I'll just take you back to the job menu that you can bring stuff in. So next would be rack. So when we go to rack, we want to show the blast jobs coming in, and there is only the one job and the one traveler. So now it says, okay, these parts have been assigned to your department. That's all good. We want to show the out screen because now we're going to say in rack, I'm done with them, I've racked them up, and now I'm moving them out. They're ready for the next step, which I believe is anodize. So it's just a simple, nice process of in and out equals I took the job, I did the job. So if we go to anodize and we show the jobs in, here's that same traveler of 100 parts. We say, okay, now they're in anodize. Right? Just very simple moving parts through a system. See, 100 parts are in anodize right now out of this job. And if we go look at, let's go ahead and look at the coach's adjustment report. Let's go down to the, we'll call it a 2 job, and you can see this is what we got, right? Same as we saw on the other job. So it's showing us here in our position control, we got 100 of those parts are in anodize. Everything else is still just received and not engulfed, so still sitting in its original boxes of 25 parts each. And over here we actually have a production traveler. So if we want, let's go ahead and make an orphan now off of a production traveler. If you remember, we did it off of the tray traveler. Now let's do 5 parts. Okay. So the system has to go through and adjust all the numbers involved. So you see the anodized number here on your first column has changed from 100 to 95. Your orphans has gone to 5. You've got your orphan record here, and it changed it here. So the correct math and tracking of parts is going through. Go back and check our position and production report real quick. And we can see 95 parts to anodize, 5 are orphans. So 5 have been taken out of the process for whatever reason, but they're not included in that math. Okay. So now we were in anodize. Let's go back to production. And we're going to show the jobs that we could take out of anodize, which is this one. And it's showing us, you had 100 parts, but now you're showing 5 orphans. We say, okay, move these to the next department. They're ready to come out. That's good. So now let's go look at unrack, show jobs in. It's the same job, same traveler. There were 100, has 5 orphans. Okay, unrack, show jobs out, which is the same job, right? So now we get to here, right? It says quantity 100. Now, this I need to go back and look at because I want the traveler. Well, it's showing you the original traveler, right? Which did start out with 100 parts. So that's, it was a quantity of 100. So we're going to look at it. We got to let them know we're working with 95. So I'm going to fix that piece right there. Now, all they do here is you say, okay, I got 100 parts. Well, how many fit on a tray, or how many do they typically put on a tray of this part? That's all we do. Now, I'm not going to do the 5, 6 tray travelers. That's just completely unnecessary right now. So I'll just do 4 trays of 25. So we'll say there's 25 on each tray. And that's all you have to do, right? It's just down the number. 1, 2, 3. There's our 4 4 trays. You say complete the process. It says, okay, I want to print these labels. So we're going to say okay. Well, put it back to the Wi-Fi printer. Records being browsed. Print. And now the parts are assigned to the next department, whatever that department may be. And it's going to print out my tray travelers for this job. Alright. So that's what we have, right? We did 4 trays and we got four little tray travelers to go with it. So pretty simple. So that was Unrack. It's out of Unrack. Did they go to DFL? Yep, here they are right there. Alright, so DFL, we're going to go ahead and move these 4 trays out of DFL. Okay, and now if we go back and check, it's probably the same recipe as some of those other parts. I'm almost willing to bet. So if I go look at where they're supposed to be next, oh, I have to take them out of DFL first. Alright, so let's go back to DFL, show our out jobs. Let's take these out. Okay. Alright, nothing else to show us there. Alright, so that's an error. It shouldn't go to this screen right here. I'm going to have to look at that. So, DFL didn't go back to production menu. This is where it should have gone. That's a quick fix. Alright, so now I want to go look and see what is next in its recipe. Looks like oil. So it goes to oil next, so pretty easy. So we're going to go back to production. We're going to go to skip over white paint, go to oil, show the jobs that are coming in, and there's our jobs. Say okay. 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 Alright, nothing else to show us coming out there. So after oil, it's going to be QA, so we're not doing QA just yet. And they're in oil, and we need to move them out of oil, that's right. I always forget to move the stuff out. Oil, show jobs out. There we go. Alright, now we've oiled them. We're telling the system and everybody else we're done with oil. Should make them available for QA. There we go. Not in QA. 100 parts. You know what? That's not even right? I'll tell you why I know that's not right. So the production series is showing us the wrong math. So tray series is mathing out correctly, right? But production series is not. And that's why I wanted to video this test as well. Because if we go back and look at the job, yeah, there's some orphans in there. There's 5 orphans, which means, you know why we told it we put 25 on there, which we did not. And this is where we want to use this screen to change these numbers. So we would want to be able to say that one of these trays only has 20. So we've got to fix that as well. Alright. We lost our orphan count over there. So we lost our orphan count here because we forced the system to tell it there weren't any orphans. So we kept an orphan record, but there really aren't any orphans, right? So what we could do is we could delete that record. We could take this last tray. We could say, okay, well, let's say there's only 20 on that tray. Oh, I'm sorry, not 20 orphans, right? So now we got our orphans back. 5 orphans. I'm going to change that to a 5. If you notice now, it changed that back to 20. Changed this to 20 and gave us our orphans. So that, actually, I don't have to open that up. It's either create an orphan, so you're taking parts away, or get rid of that orphan, or change the orphan's number. So you see here, this orphan's now tied to this tray. So we should have put the right number on the tray and preserved our orphan record to begin with, but we're able to go to this screen and edit it, which is why the screen is built. Okay. So that is how moving product just using the regular buttons works.